I'm Carrie Bresnahan here at the Central Fire Station in Arlington. After a full year of renovations to the building, Fire Chief Robert Jefferson invited Arlington Public News inside to see the changes. Let's go take a look.
This is where the public will access the building. You'll come in, you'll be, if they're not out on a call, there's usually a firefighter on duty who will greet the public, and then you'll have your entranceway as to what you saw outside. The original building plaque is right there. This also was sent out and completely redone. At one point, you wouldn't have basically been able to read the letters. The letters were pretty much the same color as the background. There was so much tarnish on it. You come into the lobby area, and you hopefully, unless the firefighter's on the call, you should be able to access the upstairs. This stairway here will take you to all 3 floors as well as the elevator. So we're down here in what's going to be the public access area on the 2nd floor of the fire station. We were able to move back in here due to the fact that we've installed elevators so that we comply with all ADA requirements. Since 1983, the fire chief and administration has been over in the community safety building, the police station on Mystic Street. One of our main focuses when we were doing the remodels of all 3 stations was that to move the fire chief and administration back into the building with the firefighters. There's been a disconnect between myself and the personnel not being in a building working with them on a day-to-day basis. I think it puts the fire department in a position where we function 100% better and we move forward in the 21st century the way we should be moving forward as opposed to having both staff operations or the chief separated from the real firefighting crews and officers. We're going to go down into the firefighters area. Basically, public will be restricted to this area. This is the firefighters' living quarters. State-of-the-art kitchen. Firefighters are here 24 hours a day. They work here, live here, sleep here. They're a family. Rec room area for the firefighters where they'll hang out, they'll watch TV. All 3 stations have common areas where the firefighters will hang out and do their downtime. One other point that we were able to maintain in this building that we weren't able to maintain in the Highland is the pole. There were actually 6 poles in headquarters before construction. Firefighters that may be up in this area will take the pole to the apparatus floor, and it does save them a little bit of time when responding. Typical dorm, particularly for an officer, he's got his desk, he's got his TV chair. Again, they're here 24 hours a day. They're going to be functioning. You'll move out here to the apparatus floor, which as of right now is not secured. This will be secured eventually. The public would not be able to access this directly without a firefighter. Someone could get hurt out here, children coming in. We want to make sure that we're taking care of everything. That's a 1994 Pierce ladder truck, and as you can see, it's got extreme body rot. The undercarriage is falling apart. We've had to put tens of thousands of dollars into maintaining it. This is that pile of red material you see on the apparatus floor. This is what it will look like when it's full. On this one here, we learned from the Highland that we wanted the doors on the gear so that they can be locked and for security purposes. This will be the fitness room for the firefighters. Again, it was designed specifically for that purpose. Most of this equipment before was in one room on the 2nd floor of the fire station with no AC, inadequate ventilation, bad lighting. Currently, I would say 70 to 80% of the firefighters work out on duty. It's a trend that started back in the 2000s when we were able to get a federal grant to buy a lot of this equipment. Most of these guys all belong to their own private gyms. But when they're here and they can get an hour or so in working out, they're down here doing it. And it's encouraged, and we're seeing the benefits of it. There's less back injuries, there's less strains, there's less sprains, and it's worked out that it is improving the overall fitness of the firefighters. I think it's a huge benefit to the town and to the fire department. This was designed as a training area for the firefighters. Not completely finished yet, but it'll be set up state-of-the-art where all the audio-visual, either on the TV or on the screen at the front of the room, will be tied into the computer systems or into an overhead audio-visual component. Firefighters training almost every day. A lot of it's hands-on, a lot of it is classroom though. We've had to train either at the community safety building. This was one of the things that we wanted. We wanted a full training area in our stations. We are not completely up and running functional, but in the event we were to have a major incident today, we're prepared to come here, set up our emergency operations center right here, and we can function out of here. This room here is dead records, but it's also the area where we have our washer and dryer for our gear. We've never had a washer and dryer for our protective gear, and it's something that's almost mandatory now. You almost need to have these in the fire stations now. The chemicals that we go up against, either in a fire or an incident, can seriously damage or compromise our equipment, and we never had this. The case over here shows a lot of the old antique artifacts of the fire department. All of these items were Arlington Fire Department items. Some of them were just kicking around the station at different areas, and a lot of it was being stored by the Arlington Historical Society, who took ownership for about 20 years of it, so as to protect it where we didn't have any place to display it, and also for security purposes. Over here, where we have the fireplace mantle, this was in the old building. It was in what we used to call an old rec room and became a gym near the end of the service of that building. This fireplace has been here, we believe, since the beginning in the 20s. One of the things they did in both this building and the Highland Station is these are the structural carrying beams, steel beams of the building. The architect in both the buildings exposed them and left out a little bit of that architecture for people to be able to see. We hope to display, again, our fire department artifacts on the shelves there, and display them so that they're there for everybody to see and be part of the history of the fire department. Back in the early 1900s, when this was not a full service fire piece of apparatus, but was more of a antique display one, they used to take this to musters all over the state, and this used to win best show and best performance for the way it still operated at that point. Like I said, we did this back in probably the 80s, early 90s, and it still works. This is what you see as you drive by from the outside, and it's a pretty cool display for them to be able to see that. Down here, we are going to achieve LEED Gold for this building, and so Fire Headquarters will be the first town building to achieve that level of LEED. It's very important. It's part of the town bylaw that all town buildings that have major rehabs or that are rebuilt or that are new buildings have LEED certification. And we've been able to do that. That basically is your green policy, where you're going to be energy efficient, and the buildings will be more sustainable for the town. That starts right from demolition of the building. When this building started to be demolished, they had to track every piece of wood, concrete, material that was being taken off site, and where was it going? Was it being recycled? Did it have to go to a dump as opposed to a recycling? When they bring all the material in, you have to bring in all recycled content material, your woods, even some of your metals. You have to be able to show that that's all done. That's all part of the contractors and the architectural responsibility, but the town of Arlington tells them that this is what we want and this is the product that we should get in the end. This right here is part of, really, the major part of LEED achievement is a new heating system. I don't know what your furnace looks like in your house. This is the furnace for the building right here. And there's two of them. It's redundant. So if one goes down, we have the other one. But this is all state-of-the-art, what they call a condensing boiler, I guess, for the heating system. And that is your whole boiler right there. We're so fortunate that this building got done, and that it got done in the way that it is. It maintained the character of the 1920s Arlington Fire Headquarters building, and that's what you have up there. And a lot of the stuff that we were able to maintain, the fireplace, and we're able to maintain that. But the conditions of these buildings were very poor, and they were very inefficient. They were 90 years old. The electrical was 90 years old. The plumbing was 90 years old. There were exposed pipes. There were leaks everywhere. They were not up to code. They were not handicapped accessibility. They were not ADA compliant. The firefighters used to do a lot of work themselves. They would come in, they would paint, they would repair walls, they would do work to the stations to improve them. The problem would be the roof would be no good, and after you painted a wall, 6 months later, the plaster would be falling off the wall on you. We're happy the way it came out, and I think the town should be proud of this building and the way it turned out.
And the Central Fire Station is the last of Arlington's 3 fire stations to be renovated in the past 8 years. Looks like these renovations will be an asset to both the town and the firefighters. On behalf of the Arlington Fire Department and for Arlington Public News, I'm Carrie Bresnahan.